Alright guys, what's up? I'm back with another, whatever video this is, a thing about achievements. I completed achievements for another game, and this time I did Dead Cells. I completed all of the Dead Cells achievements, which I've been meaning to do for probably 3 years. I don't even remember how long this game's been out, but it's been out for quite a while. And I'm really making this video to brag about it because good luck, I don't think you're doing this. This is so annoying. This game is it's a roguelite Metroidvania, which is a lot of fancy words for saying it's a platformer that's randomized every time you play it. All the levels are random, the exits to the levels, how you need to tackle it. It's, if you've ever played The Binding of Isaac, or I think Enter the Gungeon, or I know somebody that likes Risk of Rain kind of stuff, Hades is a good example. It's a roguelite, but I really like this for it being, how would they say it? Tough but fair, which is a funny way of saying it's punishing if you're just trying to do this. If you're trying to do the achievements, it's punishing. If you're trying to play it, it's fun. It becomes really addictive because failing to do playthroughs will actually help you do further playthroughs. Like, there's still a progression where you can improve your overall experience by trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing. I think Hades has a similar concept where multiple playthroughs help you get further. So it's not impossible. I think this is very, I don't want to compare it to Dark Souls, but you could compare it to Dark Souls in the terms of, like, when I fail, it feels like it's my fault. It's not the game being cheesy, it's just I screwed up. The game gave me the opportunity to deal with it and I just messed it up. But that said, this game is demented. If you were going to play this without doing any version of kind of cheesy strategy, you would have to be psychotic to pull this off. There were at least a couple achievements that I had to use strategy for because doing it without the strategy is just absurd. It's absurd. I have roughly about, I don't know, more than 200 hours. I want to guess 250. I played this on the Switch. I think this plays really good on the Switch because you can, pick up and drop it at whim. You can just pause and stop whenever you need to. Makes it a really good mobile game. So if we're talking about the achievements, right now, because I bet they add more, and I bet I have to come back to this, they did the bank update, is the last group of achievements that were added. So I have all the DLC, I did all the DLC and the bank, so I have, Bad Seed, Fatal Falls, and the Queen DLC, and I did the bank achievements. So we're including all of that. If they add stuff further than the bank, I'm gonna have to come back. So just so you know, the video may be dated by the time you find it, I don't know, but alright, so we're talking about achievements. The bulk of this game, not a big deal. There's a huge portion of achievements that are just complete a level, like get to the level for the first time, which, trust me, the first time you play this game, you're gonna have a lot of hard times with that. Just stick with it, it's fine. If you're doing this for achievements, something's wrong with you, because this is gonna get hard, and I think it's gonna really test your patience, unless you just like this game. But basic achievements would be like, clear the prisoner's quarters the first time, or I guess that would technically be reach the promenade for the first time. But there's also a bunch of just kind of assorted nonsense achievements about doing certain specific things. Like, here's one called Herder, which is have 2 pets active at the same time. The pets are skills, so you don't always have control over what shows up, but you can do, for example, a custom run and kind of manipulate your results so that you have a better chance of finding that stuff, is really the method for that. Just fun stuff. Like, what's one here? There's one called Long Live the Queen, where you beat the queen by pushing her off the ledge, which might be one of the only bosses you can do that to. I'm pretty sure she's the only boss you could kick off the platform they're on, because she's the only one that has a platform like that. I don't think the hand can fall into the spikes. I think he's just too big to fall into the gap. So they're just a lot of, you probably didn't do this, and you're gonna have to do an entire run to deliberately do this, but I wouldn't call it hard. What gets difficult is, well, first of all, before you get too far, I want to warn you that I'm just gonna start talking about spoilers, because if It's spoilers. It has to be spoilers. I don't have a choice. Once you complete your first run, you will be given a boss cell, and it's basically a higher difficulty setting. And there's an achievement for collecting and completing basically every single boss cell run, each one down the line, which would amount to kind of dealing with 5th cell mode, which is called Hell difficulty, and it's accurate. It's very, 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 very hard. It's so hard that even with the cheese, like the cheesy strategy to help you deal with how hard it is, it's like it knew that when they made it, so it's still hard either way. If you aren't good at the game, even with that strategy, you might not be able to do it. So they just get progressively harder. I think on 1st cell mode, every other health fountain gives you a flask instead. So only 1 recharge, not a full recharge and heal. On 2, I think you only get a health flask recharge instead of any fountains. Like, I don't know if there are fountains. Maybe they're only after the first 2 bosses. But it incrementally decreases your health, like, recharge. All the way to the point where I think 3rd cell mode has just nothing. Or maybe 1 flask, I think, after the concierge and before the timekeeper sections. On 4, there's definitely no free health. 4 starts to have enemies that can just teleport to you. Like, it kind of just adapts all the enemies to be able to teleport and chase you. And their aggression, like, the range that they will target you went up. So you can't take 4 too lightly, even then. Like, I don't think I've done a genuine non-cheesy 4th run. It's just really, really tough to do the whole game and not give up hits like that on accident. But 5th mode is absurd. The malaise mechanic, if I pronounce that right, you have an infection meter other than your health that will increase depending on time, and the faster it increases, it increases faster when there are more enemies on the level. So you have to kill all the enemies, and if you kill them all, it'll stop increasing, or I believe if you kill 90% of the enemies on a level, it stops increasing. But each level of infection currently, they get more aggressive. After, I think, 2, enemies from any biome can just spawn on you. Like, they just appear and start attacking you. Anywhere, I don't remember all the tier levels, but they do get more aggressive, and what I wasn't anticipating was that it affects the bosses the same way. And if you try to fight a boss you're accustomed to fighting, and let's say their attack speed goes up, all of a sudden the concierge kind of got really tough to deal with, because he was attacking faster than I was used to him attacking to, and it's the only mode that happens in. So, good luck. If you want to know, honestly, the cheese, it's going to be related to the save game files. The game lets you just create save files, and you can back out of a level at any point and just copy your file to another slot and then go back in. So that's the only way I pulled off 5 cell mode. I couldn't do a plain run. I don't think I did a plain run on 3, 4, or 5. Now I can beat 2. I mean, 2 isn't that bad. I got my health flasks and it worked. But on 5, you're gonna have to do that. If you could do it without that, you were amazing. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you could do that much and not mess it up. But you save the game, you make a copy. If you die, heck, if you give up a hit, just revert the save, copy the backup back over it. Be really careful about that, because, well, if you delete the 2 files, you're gonna probably have to start all over again, and you're really not gonna like that. Maybe use one of the 7 or 8 slots as a backup, just in case you delete something you shouldn't delete. But using the save method is a very safe way to do this next one, which is well, it's not one achievement, but you have to defeat every single boss in the game individually without taking any damage at all. And that also includes the lighthouse level, which is a boss fight but isn't a boss fight. It's more complex than that. It's absurd. This is really hard. I wouldn't bother to do this unless you can consistently beat the game on at least 2 cell mode, probably 1 or 2 cell mode. Just depends. Now the game has like a training room that you can go into, and if you've beat the boss before, you can fight the boss. Like, you can practice the boss in the training room with whatever weapons you have, whatever you want. and you can just make a strategy to fight them. But for this, you can't use the aspects, and you can't mess the custom run up so bad it won't give you achievements, but you have to do it in a base level game, and you have to flawless a boss. I could fight, let's say the Concierge, the Mama Tick, probably even Conjunctivius I have beat in a normal run without giving up damage. The Concierge especially is a pushover. It's the initial boss. You're supposed to learn how to play, the game and fight the boss on the first boss. But when you reach the Timekeeper and the second level bosses, good luck. Good luck doing that. If you're playing on high levels, you need a shield. You don't have a choice, you need a shield. If you can predict it and dodge it, you should parry it so that they take damage and you get something for it. So if you can predict attacks, use a shield. When you get to the hand, which includes the hand, I'm going to add the lighthouse, and I'm going to say the queen, you are having a really tough time. The hand is really tough to deal with. He has a lot of attacks. I did that though I didn't do micro saves to fight that boss. You could technically just get him in his certain phases and then save mid boss fight and load it back up, which I'm not proud of it, but I had to do that on one or two of these. I didn't have to do it for the base level, and I didn't do it for everybody up to the second level bosses. So that's like 6 bosses I didn't do that to. And I didn't do it for the hand, but I did it for the queen, because the queen is really hard. I didn't expect the queen to be hard, and it's probably just that I wasn't used to fighting the queen. I've only fought her like 3 times, and I just wanted to be done with this game. But she can parry you, she can parry your projectiles, she can do a lot of stuff. You just really gotta be careful of her. But the one that shocks me is the lighthouse, because I wouldn't think the lighthouse was that hard. The lighthouse is in front of the queen. It's like an extra level. You would do the shipwreck instead of High Peak Castle, and then you would go to the lighthouse, which is like 3 mini boss fights with a level in the middle, and you have to do that whole thing without giving up damage. Good luck. I've seen videos, people can do it. No, just don't suffer through that unless you're just an absolute boss. I saved before the boss fight, I fought the boss, I saved before I did the level section, the little parkour parts, and I just kept doing that. I have a huge problem fighting all 3 assassins on the final bit. They are just really hard for me to wrap my head around. I know you can do it, I know it's possible. I watched one guy do it because he put out so much damage they basically couldn't stand in front of him. He just hit them 3 times and they went down. There are strategies, I was thick-skulled and I wanted this game done, so I did it that way. So, if you made it this far, once again, I'm going to warn you, spoilers, when you get to 4-cell mode, if you want the 5th, you have to fight the giant on 4-cell mode. That was not fun. The cavern is a nightmare, the giant is not a pushover, and that's how you get 5th cell. But once you have the 5th cell, you can beat 4-cell mode with an aspect, and it will still get that achievement, which is what I did. Once you have the 5th cell and you beat the hand, you get a new level at the end that's only accessible on 5th, which I think was the Observatory. I think that's what it's called, or the Astrolab. One of the 2 is the level and one is the boss room. And then you'll fight the secret final boss, which is the Collector himself. And that guy really is meant to just make you fail. But it's nowhere near as hard to me as the lighthouse was, and you also have to flawless kill that guy, which is probably better if you go through a second time. That way you can get the true ending of the game on purpose and then get the flawless, which is what I did. But that guy I definitely did micro saves on because 5-cell mode is not a joke, and I just wanted to do it. Like, I just did this last night. I don't know when this video goes up, but from when I recorded this, I just beat him, and I'm finally done with this game after so long. But it's doable. If you want to do the save game cheese, it's certainly doable. You could beat the whole game that way. Though it's just, you could do that the whole time, and it wouldn't be as hard. But I think if you can't predict what the enemies do because you've never seen these enemies before, you're just not gonna have as easy a time. I would just play a standard game, walk through it at your own pace. I wouldn't start doing that cheese until you can beat to cell mode without it, because if you can't get that far, you're giving up way too many hits to these people. You shouldn't be giving up hits, and 5 cell mode is gonna melt you. This could be the hardest game I've ever actually completed, and I've done a couple games before. This one was hard, really hard. If you have all the achievements for this, I salute you. If I have to come back to this because I know they're gonna add more stuff, I'm gonna cry a little bit, but at least I did it once. At least I managed to do it. But that's the end of this video. I hope you like Dead Cells. I like Dead Cells. And leave a like, I suppose. Was that what people on YouTube say? Like and subscribe? I probably only have 5 subscribers, but please do it. That way I could talk about more stuff, and you'll like hearing me talk about more stuff. Yeah. But I'll see you next time. Yeah, bye.